The village of Gray Hollow sat nestled between jagged mountains, its cottages huddled together like they were trying to keep each other warm. The only path in or out of the village wound through dense woods, where trees twisted into unnatural shapes and whispers clung to the wind. But the true mystery of Gray Hollow lay to the west, where a still, black lake stretched endlessly, known as the Silent Lake. No one in the village spoke of the lake. It was forbidden to go near its shores after dark. The elders told stories of people who had disappeared into its depths, never to be seen again. Some said the lake was cursed, haunted by the souls of those it had claimed. Others whispered that something ancient lived beneath the surface, waiting. Harper had always been curious. As a child, she would sneak to the edge of the woods and peer through the trees, trying to catch a glimpse of the lake. Her grandmother had warned her to stay away, but Harper couldn't resist. There was something about the water, its perfect stillness, its unnatural quiet, that called to her. Years passed, and Harper grew into a young woman. The village remained unchanged, its people clinging to old superstitions. But Harper's curiosity about the lake never faded. One evening, while the sun sank low in the sky, casting long shadows across the village, she made a decision. She would visit the lake at night, just once, to see what lay hidden in the darkness. As dusk fell, Harper set out. She slipped past the sleeping village, her heart racing with a mix of excitement and fear. The woods felt different at night, the trees like looming figures watching her every step. The further she walked, the quieter the world became, until all she could hear was the soft crunch of leaves beneath her feet. At last, she reached the edge of the woods. The silent lake spread out before her, a mirror of black glass reflecting the moonless sky. It was beautiful in a way that made her skin crawl, the air thick with an unnatural stillness. No wind stirred the surface, no insects chirped, not even a ripple disturbed the water. Harper stood there, frozen, staring into the lake's inky depths. As she gazed into the water, something began to shift. It was subtle at first, a shadow moving beneath the surface, dark against dark. Her breath caught in her throat as the shadow grew larger, rising slowly, deliberately. Suddenly, the water broke. A figure emerged from the lake, its body unnaturally long and pale, dripping with black water that seemed to cling to it like oil. Its face was smooth, featureless, except for a pair of hollow eyes that glowed faintly in the darkness. It didn't move like a human. It glided, silent and slow, as though it wasn't bound by the rules of the living world. Harper stumbled backward, her heart pounding in her chest. She wanted to scream, to run, but her legs wouldn't move. The figure reached out a hand, long and skeletal, and pointed at her. Without warning, the voices began. They started as whispers, soft and unintelligible, like the wind through the trees. But soon they grew louder, more distinct. Harper could hear them all around her, voices of people calling her name, crying for help. She recognized some of them, villagers who had disappeared over the years, lost to the lake. Their voices echoed in her mind, pulling at her, begging her to join them. The figure stepped closer, its hollow eyes fixed on her. Harper felt the pull, a cold, sinking sensation in her chest. The ground beneath her feet seemed to tilt, and before she knew it, she was stepping toward the water, her body moving on its own. "No!" she screamed, fighting against the invisible force dragging her forward. But the pull was too strong. The closer she got to the lake, the louder the voices became, drowning out her thoughts. She could feel the cold seeping into her bones, freezing her from the inside out. As her foot touched the water, the whispers stopped. Silence fell over the lake once more, but it wasn't peaceful. It was suffocating, as though the world itself was holding its breath. In the distance, Harper saw them, figures rising from the water, dozens of them, their hollow eyes glowing faintly in the dark. They watched her, waiting, their faces blank and unreadable. She realized then what they were: the lost souls, trapped beneath the lake, forever bound to its depths. And she was about to join them. With one final scream, Harper was pulled under. The cold water closed over her head, and the world went black. Days passed, and the people of Gray Hollow noticed Harper's absence. They searched the village, the woods, but found no trace of her. No one dared go near the lake. They knew where she had gone, and they knew she wouldn't be coming back. From that night on, the silent lake seemed different. The water was still as ever, but there was something new, a faint, soft whispering, barely audible, carried on the wind. And if you listened closely, you could hear a voice among them. Harper's voice. It called out from beneath the water, calling for help, just like all the others. But no one listened. No one ever listened to the whispers of the silent lake. I hope you enjoyed the story.